Welcome to another episode of this YouTube channel, Bachelor and Master English. Today's discussion goes around Alfred Lord Tennyson's often quoted poem Ulysses. In our today's discussion, there shall be introduction, summary in English and interpretation in Nepali as well, the exploration of themes, analysis and summing up of the text. Okay, there shall be also comments including within analysis. Okay, here let's get started with the introduction. The title of the text is Ulysses. It's by poet Alfred Lord Tennyson. It was written in 1833 and published in the second volume of his poetical works that was published in 1842. It was a highly acclaimed and well received publication of Tennyson. The language that the poem uses here is Victorian English. It means the literary piece belongs to Victorian era, and the language the writer has adopted or used is English. And this text, as you see, there is Ulysses title. So we have different indirect reference to the books of the past, and that is Homer's immortal epic Odyssey, Dante's Inferno, chapter 26, and the Trojan War. The genre is poetry and subgenre is dramatic monologue, and the form that the poet has used to express his thoughts here, emotions, sentiments and feelings in form of blank verse. And the character here is Ulysses it's himself. He is the speaker and he is the principal character here. And this poem is dedication to Tennyson's grief for his dead friend Arthur Henry Hallam, and there is a great effect on Tennyson on his friend's untimely demise. The theme here is that this old king Ulysses and his age, old age, despite his old age, he shows his restlessness in retirement and his grief and optimism here. That means poets gift grief and optimism of the character, and the brotherhood, new learning, adventure. So many themes are included, or so many under these different themes the poem is stood and it has been written. Okay, here we go with another paragraph introduction here. Tennyson's poem Ulysses details the hero Ulysses' intense dissatisfaction and boredom on his island home of Ithaca. The poem is a monologue spoken by him, where he not only expresses his discontent but also describes his desire to keep sailing. He is getting older and doesn't have a lot of time left, so he wants to get busy living rather than busy dying. The poem concludes with the resolution to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. The poem is a monologue, the undaunted ideal, of course, through the Homeric given out here, the moral towering character of through the poem. Towering character of this person through the poem. As Tennyson's treatment of Ulysses' life, it has rightly deserved title monologue of Ulysses. It celebrates this great Homeric hero Ulysses. Okay, here is summary of the poem. This 70-line poem Ulysses has a very short summary here, and after this we shall be talking the summary in Nepali. Here is the summary. Let's get going with the summary in English. Ulysses, after his return to Ithaca, feels his work a day life. He finds his life colorless. The inward urge for exploring He must travel abroad and make the exploration. He recalls his great achievement and the wide seas. He has wandered much, suffered comrades. He has seen many countries and became a famous man. But very little of his wide world and knowledge. He feels disgusted with the monotony of life at home, unbearably dull, and exploring new lands makes him restless. He tries to quest for the best use of his short time for achievement on the battlefield of Troy and on and enjoyed much with his brave countries, gathered vast experiences still. As it seems to him, he has seen and touched only the borders of the known areas. So Ulysses wants to devote every pursuit of the things unknown. Life in action is equal to death. More than that, Ulysses must spend the rest of his life. He admits that he will shift the duties to his son Telemachus, who is better life. He appeals to his comrades to unknown seas beyond in quest experiences. They have lost much and suffering, but have not lost most shall on and on till they die. Every hour of his remaining life to the life means to him ceaseless activities. Breathing is no life. So Ulysses feels life in ceaseless activities, duties and responsibilities of kingship better fitted by nature for this setup to make another voyage to the quest of fresh adventures, and much of their vigor because of age lost their undaunted spirit. Okay. Here we have the discussion of the poem in Nepali here. Ulysses अल्फ्रेड लर्ड टेनिसनको एउटा लामो कविता अन्तर्गतको एउटा कविता हो। 70 हरफमा रचिएको यो कविता एउटा राजा, इथाकाको राजा युलिसिस पौराणिक पात्र पनि हो। त्यो उसले चाहिँ सामान्य एउटा राजाको जीवन जिएर बस्नुभन्दा एउटा अनुसन्धान, अन्वेषण र अनि त्यसपछि नयाँ नयाँ ठाउँहरूको खोजी गर्ने र साहसिक र आफ्नो यात्रा जारी गर्ने उसको इच्छा जाहेर हुन्छ। र अनि उसले एउटा त्यो निष्क्रिय रूपमा बस्नुभन्दा हैन, अब यो ट्रोजन वार लडेर आएको एउटा योद्धा हो। ट्रोजन वारमा धेरै वर्ष, अब 10 वर्ष लामो चाहिँ ट्रोजन वार लडेर फर्केर आएपछि फेरि त्यहाँ अब घर आउन कति समय लागिसकेपछि फेरि केही समय राज्य गर्दा गर्दा उसलाई चाहिँ त्यहाँको एउटा दैनिक एउटा चाहिँ जीवन चलाउने खालको शासन मात्रै चाहिँ बस्दाखेरि उसलाई चाहिँ दिगदार लाग्यो। निष्क्रिय बस्नुभन्दा बाँझो चट्टान माझ बुढी रानी छेउ महलमा आगो ताप्दै समय बिताउनुको कुनै तुक छैन भन्ने निष्कर्ष गरेर अनि उसले के भन्छ, कामको नाउँमा गँवार जातिलाई विभेदपूर्ण कानुनका आडमा कहिले दण्ड र कहिले पुरस्कार दिएर समय अल्मल्याउनु पर्छ। गँवार जातिका मानिसले मलाई चिन्दैनन् र उनीहरूको काम भन्नु, सञ्चय गर्नु, सुत्नु र खानु बाहेक अरू केही पनि छैन। म यात्रा छाडेर विश्राम लिन सक्दिनँ। म मेरो जीवन भ्रमणमै बिताउन चाहन्छु। मैले सधैँ नै परम आनन्द छडेर विश्राम लिन सक्दिनँ। मैले परम आनन्द लिएको छु र त्यस्तै चरम दुःख भोगेको पनि छु। दुवै किसिमको मलाई माया गर्नेबाट र एक्लै पनि। समुद्रमा यात्रा गर्दा जहाँ मेरो शीघ्र चालित जहाजले अन्धकार समुद्रका छाललाई दुःख दिए, समुद्रमा त्यतिखेर मेरो कत्रो नाम, कत्रो साहस, कत्रो चर्चा, म जहिले पनि ज्ञानको तृष्णा बोकेर यात्रा गरिराखेँ। त्यसैले मैले देख्न र जान्न पनि पाएँ। मैले देखेँ मानव सहरहरू, तिनका चालचलन, हावापानी, परिषद, सरकारहरू। म आफू केही नभए पनि सबैबाट मैले ठुलो सम्मान पाएको छु। टाढा हावादार ट्रयको घन्किने फाँटमा मेरा दौतरीसँग युद्धको हर्ष भोगेको छु। मैले भेटेका जातिको म एक अंश त हुँ, तापनि सारा मेरा अनुभव वृत्तको चाप हो। वृत्तको चाप मात्र हो। त्यो पछिको भ्रमण गर्न पाएको विश्व चम्किरहेको छ। जब म त्यो ठाउँमा पुग्छु, त्यसको सिमाना मधुरो बन्दछ। पट्टाइ लाग्दो विरामलाई कसरी अन्त्य मान्नु? नटल्काई खिया जम्न दिनु, प्रयोगबाट नटल्किनु जीवन होइन। सास मात्र फेर्नु जीवन होइन। जीवन उप जीवन खप्टनु धेरै महत्त्वको कुरा हो र मेरा निम्ति बाँकी रहेकै भएन। चिर मौन मृत्यु पाउनु अघि जगेडा गर्न सकेको प्रत्येक घडीले सदैव नयाँ कुरा दिन्छ। 3 वर्ष केही नगरी यो पाको अनुभवले डुब्न लागेको तारा बन्नु हो। यो मानवीय सोचाइको घेरादेखि बाहिर पर्दछ। टेलिम्याकस मेरो छोरा हो। मेरो द्वीप राज्य र राजदण्ड म दुवै उसलाई सुम्पिन्छु। ऊ मेरो प्यारो पनि हो। उसले राम्ररी कर्तव्य पालन गर्न जानेको छ। मन्द कुशलताले भए पनि मैले उसलाई अब जिम्मा दिन्छु र उसले मानिसलाई नरम शासनमुखी बनाउन जानेको छ र मानिसको आवश्यक उपयोग गर्न सिपालु छ। उसमा पटक्कै खोट छैन। सदैव सामान्य कर्तव्य पालनमा जुटेको हुन्छ। संवेदनशील काममा ऊ कहिले चुकेको छैन। म नभए पनि कुल देवताको पूजाआजा उसैले चलाउनेछ। उसले आफ्नो काम गरोस्, म मेरो काम गर्नेछु। बन्दरगाह अगाडि देखिँदैछ। जहाज छुट्न तयार छ र चिट्ठी दिँदैछ। समुद्र व्यापक छ र अन्धकारले त्यसलाई छिचोल्न सकिँदैन। मेरा नाविकहरूले जहिले पनि मेहनत गरेका छन्। म त्यो जस्तै सोचेका छन्। मेघ गर्जन र टन्टलापुर घाम विरुद्ध खुला हृदय र निधारले सङ्घर्ष गरेका छन्। म र उनीहरू बुढा भइसक्यौँ भए पनि अझै यो उमेरले मात्र र मेहनत गर्न अझै बाँकी छ। हुन त मृत्युबाट सबै कुराको अन्त्य हुन्छ, तर मृत्यु पाउनु अघि अझै कुनै सुकर्म गर्नुपर्छ। ईश्वरको विद्रोही बनेर होइन, रचनात्मक काम गरेर। चट्टानमा सूर्य चम्किन थालिसकेको छ। लामो दिन ढल्न खोज्दैछ। दिनको आयु छुट्टिँदैछ। चन्द्रमा क्रमशः आकाशमा उक्लिँदैछ। समुद्रमा यत्रतत्र आवाजको बिलौना छ। ए मेरा मित्र हो, आओ। अहिलेसम्म नौलो संसारको खोजी गर्न अबेर भइसकेको छैन। जहाजमा हाँक्यौँ र समुद्रका लहरसँग जोत्यौँ। मेरो लक्ष्य आफू मर्नु अघि सूर्यास्त भन्दा निकै पर, पश्चिमी ताराहरू डुब्ने स्थलभन्दा पनि धेरै पर पुग्ने रहेको छ। हुन त हामीलाई खाडीले बगाइदिन सक्छ, तर यो खुसीको टापु ह्याप्पी आइल्यान्डमा पुग्न सक्दैनौँ भन्ने पनि छैन। त्यहाँ पुगेर एक्केल्सलाई भेट्न सकिएला। हामीले धेरै पाइसक्यौँ, तर अझ पनि धेरै पाउन बाँकी छ। यद्यपि पहिले जस्तो हामीमा पृथ्वी र स्वर्ग नै उचाल्ने शक्ति छैन। भए पनि हामी जे छौँ त्यो छौँ। अहिले पो समय र भाग्यले निर्बलियो देखिन्छौँ। हामी वीर हृदयका नै हौँ, बहादुर हौँ। हामीसँग शौर्य छ, हामीसँग बल छ, हामीसँग तागत छ, हामीसँग क्षमता छ, हामीमा इच्छाशक्ति दृढ छ। यसैबाट हामी नयाँ कुराको लागि सङ्घर्ष गर्न सक्छौँ। खोज्छौँ, गर्छौँ, पाउँछौँ र हार खाँदैनौँ। यसरी एउटा आदर्श र भावना बोकेको कविता यो युलिसिसमा टेनिसनले जुन बेलायतीहरूको अन्वेषण गर्न अनि त्यो बेलायतको जुन विस्तार गर्न, बेलायतको प्रभाव, बेलायतको साम्राज्य विस्तार गर्न बेलायतका मान्छेहरूले सबै ठाउँमा पुगेर त्यहाँका कामहरू गर्न, त्यहाँको चाहिँ एउटा नयाँ नयाँ कुरो पत्ता लगाउनको लागि चाहिँ जसरी बेलायतीहरू चाहिँ लागे, त्यस्तै यहाँ एउटा चाहिँ पात्र, पौराणिक ग्रिकको पौराणिक पात्र युलिसिसलाई ल्याएर त्यहाँबाट ऊ पनि त्यो ग्रिकको पौराणिक पात्र पनि यसलाई चाहिँ बेलायतीकरण गरेर त्यो पात्रले कुन खालको अन्वेषणमा लाग्यो त, कसरी चाहिँ बेलायतीहरू अन्वेषणका नयाँ नयाँ ज्ञानका, नयाँ नयाँ खोजका, नयाँ नयाँ अनुसन्धानका भोका छन्, त्यो उनीहरूसँगको त्यो आदर्श यहाँ यो कविता मार्फत व्यक्त गर्न खोजेका छन्। अब यहाँ उनले के भन्छ भने एउटा ट्रोजनको युद्ध लडेर 10 वर्ष युद्ध लडेर घर फर्केर आएर 3 वर्ष राजा भइसकेको राजा सामान्य चाहिँ जीवन बिताइरहँदाखेरि एउटा चाहिँ दैनिक प्रशासनका कामहरू गरिरहँदाखेरि उसलाई दिक्क लाग्छ। अब त्यत्रो युद्ध लडे मान्छे फेरि चाहिँ यहाँ बसिरहँदाखेरि कस्तो लाग्दो, सायद त्यही भएर अब उसले आफ्नो छोरो जेठो छोरो हुन सक्छ। टेलिमाकसलाई राजदण्ड अथवा राज्यको कार्यभार सुम्पिएर अब आगामी राजाको मेरो अनुपस्थितिमा गर्नुपर्ने सम्पूर्ण काम, मैले गर्नुपर्ने सम्पूर्ण काम टेलिमाकसले गर्छ भने जिम्मा लाएर त्यहाँका मान्छेहरूलाई आफू त्यहाँबाट बाहिर जान्छ। हुन त ऊ त्यहाँबाट उसलाई मान्छेले एउटा कामबाट भागेर हिँड्यो भगौडा भन्ने पनि सोच्छन्, अब जिम्मेवारीबाट पन्छेर हिँड्न खोज्यो पनि भन्छन्। तर ऊ त्यो जिम्मेवारीबाट फर्केको होइन, उसले एउटा जिम्मा त आफ्नो छोरालाई दिइसक्यो। आफ्नो छोरालाई जिम्मा दिइसकेपछि अब आफू के गर्ने त? आफू नयाँ ठाउँको अन्वेषण गर्ने, नयाँ कुराहरू गर्ने, नयाँ नयाँ कुराहरूको खोजबिन गर्ने र त्यो कुरा लिएर आउने। आफू मर्नुभन्दा पहिला, आफ्नो एउटा सूर्यास्त हुनुभन्दा पहिला, आफ्नो जीवनको सूर्यास्त हुनुभन्दा पहिला धेरै कुरा पत्ता लगाउने। अनि त्यहाँ अब चट्याङ पर्छ, सूर्योदय हुन्छ, अनि सबै कुरा हुन्छ। तर उसले जिन्दगीको सङ्घर्ष कसरी अगाडि बढ्नुपर्छ, जिन्दगीको सङ्घर्ष कसरी अगाडि बढ्नुपर्छ, मान्छेहरू कसरी अगाडि जान सक्छन् भन्ने कुरा मात्रै यहाँ बताउन खोजेको छ। Now, that's all with the Nepali summarization and the discussion with the poem. Now, let's go with the analysis. Before analysis, let's talk about the theme. The central theme of Ulysses is that there is a search for adventure, experience and meaning, which makes life worth living. Life is not worth living without some adventure in it. Tennyson used Ulysses as the old adventurer, unwilling to accept the settling of old age, longing for one more quest. Tennyson also wrote this in memory of his friend Arthur Henry Hallam. The eponymous hero has reached his twilight years, yet he is still filled with the wanderlust of his younger days, when he traveled throughout the known world on numerous adventures. As a result of his experience, he has come to appreciate the value of life filled with adventure. The story also builds on the themes of grief and optimism, brotherhood, new learning, adventure, and so on. Now, let's go with the analysis. This is an idealist poem. It is about world famous hero Ulysses, also called Odyssey. The poem speaks about the fast adventures of the hero against the passive life of the present. The hero is more pleased with sea adventure than with the life of being the king. Ulysses has an unsatisfied passion for the sea life, though he believes to discover more parts of the world, through which he wants to explore more parts of the world and capture and make it for his country. If Coleridge wishes an imaginary world in Kubla Khan, Ulysses wishes for the exploring of the world. By doing so, Ulysses does not ignore his kingdom, and the poem also tells how a hero always wishes to remain a hero, although old age overpowers him. In the poem, he can be nowhere seen negatively. He does not also regard his son Telemachus negatively. Thunder and sunshine, rough weather and unruly waves are other unfriendly forces of nature, which Ulysses always regards as the parts of adventure. Ulysses is a poem in blank verse. It's written by Alfred Lord Tennyson and written in 1833 and published in 1842. It is a popular example of dramatic monologue, a poetical form in which one person speaks all through and there are a silent listener or listeners. It is Ulysses as a heroic type rather than an individual that interests us. He is the tireless quester after knowledge, whether the artist, scientist, or scholar, or in whatever line his search lies. His son Telemachus bears the stamp of mediocrity, but both searches are necessary and go to make the world. Facing old age, mythical hero Ulysses describes his discontent and restlessness, often returning to his kingdom Ithaca after his far-ranging travels. Despite his reunion with his wife Penelope and his son Telemachus, Ulysses yearns to explore again. Ulysses by far, Ulysses by popular Victorian poet Alfred Tennyson presents the indomitable courage and adventurous zeal of old Ulysses. The speaker is an embodiment of indomitable courage. There is satisfaction for him while he struggles for his desire to seek beyond the capacity of men. He has become famous in other nations. The poem attempts to imagine life from the point of view of the title character Ulysses. Tennyson's often quoted poem Ulysses expresses frustration at how dull and pointless his life now seems as a king of Ithaca, trapped at home on the rocky island of Ithaca. His wife is old and he must spend his time enforcing imperfect laws as he attempts to govern people he considers stupid and uncivilized. For much of his poem, Tennyson's poem here, readers viewed Ulysses as resolute and heroic, admiring him for his determination to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. This is the philosophy of life that Tennyson has incorporated through Ulysses. Ulysses wishes to selfishly abandon his kingdom and family, and they question more positive assessment of Ulysses' character by demonstrating how he resembles flawed protagonists in early literature. King Ulysses thinks that his son Telemachus will inherit the throne and will be a good king in his legacy. In the final section of the poem, Ulysses turns to his fellow mariners and calls on them to join him on another quest, making no guarantees as to their fate, but attempting to conjure their hero fast. In the current period, Tennyson's classical poem Ulysses remains much admired, even as the 20th century brought newer ways of interpretations of the poem. It comes here as near perfection in the grand manner as he ever did. The poem is flawless in tone from beginning to end, spare, grave, free and from excessive decoration, and full of homely controlled feeling. Many readers have found the acclaimed last lines of the poem inspirational. In the final line, to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield, readers learn that Tennyson's character will never be truly satisfied unless he is facing up against foe. He is talking about his discontent and his longing to return to adventure even in his old age. Ulysses, the Latin name for Greek mythology's Odysseus, is well known for a hero who fought many battles as a young man, spent 10 years battling in the siege of Troy, and took a journey of 10 additional years to return home to Ithaca. Now he has been home for some time, that is 3 years, and he is troubled. Ulysses was a legendary Greek hero whose heroic deeds and adventures are sung by Homer in his Odyssey. Tennyson quoted both Odyssey and the Divine Comedy of Dante as his sources. There is a Faustian and satirical quality in rhetorical speech used in the poem. The whole poem is a sole speech of Ulysses, so it is a dramatic monologue here. In Ulysses, we see a hero indulging himself in the fantasy that his beloved mariners are still alive. The speaker's character in the poem is impassioned, restless, somewhat egotistical. The poem is broken up into 3 sections. In the first, He explains why he can't remain as king of Ithaca, that runs from line number 1st to 32nd line. In the second, he argues his son will do a fine job in his stead, that is from between lines 33 to 43. In the third, he urges his fellow mariners to join him on the last voyage, that runs from lines 44 to the concluding line, that is 70. The tone of the poem is optimistic, emotive, thoughtful and reflective. It helps readers to understand the mindset of the speaker. Okay, here is summary of our discussion of today's video. Today's discussion here. Ulysses is a poem which gives us details about unhappiness and monotony. Ulysses is going through in his old age. He is living at his home on the island of Ithaca. The summary of Ulysses will take us through the monologue which he speaks in the poem. We learn that Ulysses is not content with the way of life. In other words, he still wishes to continue sailing, however he is getting old, but that does not stop him. Ulysses believes that he must enjoy the little time left of his life. Moreover, he does not want to be busy dying, but busy living. He always longs for the last sail of his life and imagines mariners as well. Thus, the summary of Ulysses will tell us about the desires. In conclusion, he makes a resolution to continue to strike, seek, find, but never yield. Okay. With this discussion, I have come to the end of my today's discussion of Alfred Lord Tennyson's poem Ulysses on the theme of ideal. I am sure you got the points. If you have any queries, you can put your ideas in my comment box. I should be very thankful for your time and patience. I shall be back with another important educational video. Till then, have a nice time.